Now, it's looking like Matchday 3 is going to be a popular time for managers to use their Limitless chip. And if you're one of those managers, I've got a draft for you. So what I wanted to do when starting off this video was talk about the defenders and goalkeepers that I'm going to pick first off. But before we do that, we have to look at some statistical analysis behind the teams, the players, etc. that we want to be picking from. And the way I'm going to do this for the defense at least is looking at the clean sheet odds courtesy of Elevenify. You'll find a link in the description to Elevenify. It's a great source of Euros predicted clean sheets, predicted goals data. I found it really useful basically when it comes to picking my team, and I'm going to use it again for my Matchday 3 Limitless team. Now, looking at the clean sheet odds, we've got 4 teams emerging as the top runners basically. Spain, England, Portugal and France are all above 40% to keep a clean sheet, with England and Spain above 50. Now, there's definitely more to this conversation than just that though in Matchday 3. Given Spain, France haven't won yet, Portugal haven't won yet, they probably will though in my opinion, and Germany, definitely Spain and Germany, of course, have won their 2 opening fixtures. They will probably rotate in Matchday 3 a little bit. So that means that any defenders you pick from those teams, you can't be 100% sure that they're going to play. So for that reason, I'd probably avoid Spain and Germany defenders in your Limitless draft because you can't be 100% sure which ones are actually going to play. Maybe just the goalkeepers. Neuer, maybe ter Stegen actually plays for Germany, but I'd imagine Unai Simon keeps his place for Spain. Now, England, after their draw against Denmark, doesn't bode well for England themselves, but I think for fantasy managers, it probably does, because it means England have to play a full strength 11 in Matchday 3. So it means the likes of Pickford and Gahey, good options in this game with a 53% odds of keeping a clean sheet. They're going to probably start, right? So that's the first team that I'm really liking the look of here, England. Portugal and France haven't played at the time that I'm recording this video, so can't be 100% sure about them. If they don't win their second game, then they're going to be full strength in their third one. But if they do, you probably want to avoid them because, again, you're just not 100% sure who's going to play. Belgium, after not winning their opening fixture, or after losing their opening fixture, I think they'll be full strength in Matchday 3. So picking Belgian defenders, I think you could do worse. Romania look really good in their Matchday 1 fixture. I have a feeling they will still be in, having to play for things in Matchday 3. They've looked really good. I would not be afraid of picking some Romania players. Croatia have been a little bit disappointing this tournament, but I wouldn't think it's the end of the world if you pick some Croatian players as well. But the whole sort of narrative, I would say, around picking players in your Limitless draft for Matchday 3 is picking from teams that still have something to play for and need to win, or picking rotation players from the top teams that are already through that you think have a really high chance of starting, because that will really set you apart from the rest of the crowd. Because not many other players are going to be picking rotation players from the top teams. That's just not going to be happening. And that's where playing the Limitless chip will set you ahead of the competition. Okay, so now we've got that bit of chatter out of the way, I wanted to talk about some players that I'm actually looking to pick in Matchday 3. Italy, they've not done so well this tournament, I'll admit. So they've got everything to play for in Matchday 3. And in my mind, they're going to have pretty decent odds of a clean sheet against Croatia, albeit obviously Croatia carry some threats, but I think picking a double up of the Italy defence isn't too bad of a way to go. Everything to play for against Croatia have been disappointing so far this tournament. Yeah, I think it's a good suggestion. Timothy Castagne of Belgium, I think, is probably my pick of the Belgian defenders. Remembering, on a Limitless, you've got a limited budget, so you can spend all the money you want. So you're best going for the optimal player from each team in those positions. And I think Castagne is the optimal Belgian defender to pick. He's got Ukraine. I think he's got reasonable chance for a clean sheet, and he's good from an attacking perspective too. And then I've gone for a double up of Romanian defenders in Dragushan and Bercha. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce the 2 names. Got Slovakia. I think that's a pretty decent fixture. They played well in their Matchday 1 fixture. I think they've got reasonable chance for clean sheet. I just like the thought of picking Romanian defenders because no one else in the game is going to have Romanian defenders. It can be very rare, right? And I'm not saying this to disrespect Romania, but, we kind of got a vibe of, well, we know who the popular players in the game are, and these 2 are not popular. So on your Limitless, you want to get ahead of the pack and really make use of the chip. I think picking players who are different from those who other people own is a good way to go about it. And then in goal, I've gone for a double up of Pickford and Unai Simon. I think it makes sense. They're got the two highest clean sheet odds in the game for match day 3. I think they both play for their respective teams. Jordan Pickford in particular. England have got one of the top clean sheet odds, as we saw, for match day 3. Yes, they've not been playing well, I'll admit, but they've only conceded 1 goal in their 2 games so far. Other popular goalkeepers haven't necessarily been performing, and Pickford, historically, his record, you can see there, 62 appearances, 29 clean sheets. So he's got a clean sheet in nearly 50% of the games that he plays for England. So I think Gareth Southgate will change things up for match day 3 as well. I think England will improve slightly, and yeah, I think Pickford's a really nice option. I'm just going to have a quick canter through the predicted goals, because ultimately it's kind of the same sort of ranking as predicted clean sheets. England, Portugal, Spain, France are the top 4, Germany in 5th place, Belgium, and again, I think the same narrative kind of exists with predicted goals. A lot of these top teams are going to qualify and likely rotate in match day 3. So the top picks from the best teams, I'm thinking maybe Ronaldo, Morata, Kane obviously won't be rotated, but maybe Kai Havertz, Gundogan, the players that are popular from these really good teams, they could see some rotation in match day 3. So potentially picking some of the fringe rotation players from these top teams could be a way to go about things. Also, picking players with things left to play for, and I'll get onto the midfield to talk about that now. So we've got Szoboszlai, Kevin De Bruyne, Jude Bellingham, Scott McTominay and Luka Modric as my midfield. One thing immediately standing out to me, and I'll admit there might be better options, but I've just got a feeling that Luka Modric, if he was to do something, it's in this game, because it could potentially be his last game ever in international, well, high-level international football for Croatia. You know, he's coming towards the end of his career, only signed a 1-year extension at Real Madrid. You know, I just think it could be his last tournament for Croatia, basically, which gives him some motivation in my mind to perform in that game and hopefully score some points. I'm very conscious I picked him alongside a double Italian defence. So, you know, if you don't like that, there are other midfield options you can go for as well, based on the sort of selection criteria that I already mentioned. My other 4, though, I think are pretty safe, really good bets. Szoboszlai, Kevin De Bruyne, Jude Bellingham and Scott McTominay. Szoboszlai and McTominay, they both play each other. Both teams need to win, and both teams have been not all that good this tournament. Scotland have conceded 6 goals. Hungary have conceded a fair few as well. They've not been quite as solid as many would have predicted them to be coming into the tournament. They both need to win the game. They both need to score goals. And those 2 players, Szoboszlai and McTominay, I would say, are the 2 most likely scorers from their respective teams. Scott McTominay's been an absolute hero for Scotland during qualifying. Obviously scored the goal against Switzerland. He is, in my mind, the most likely player to be scoring for Scotland, so I think it absolutely makes sense to be picking him in your team. You only need him for 1 week, and ultimately, it doesn't really matter how Scotland get on in the game. You know, he just needs to score goals, basically, and he's got a chance of ball recoveries too, I would suggest. Szoboszlai's the same. Absolute talisman for Hungary on pens, free kicks and corners. Scotland, they conceded 6 goals in 2 games this tournament. You know, if you were to tell me a player from that Hungary team who's most likely to score, you're going to say Szoboszlai, right? So I think it makes sense to pick him. And outside of that, I went for the 2 midfielders that I think are the best 2 that still have something left to play for, in Jude Bellingham and Kevin De Bruyne. Jude was very disappointing, I'll admit, against Denmark. We had a great sort of start to the game against Serbia and scored the goal. I think he'll have a kick up the backside, to be honest, in match day 3 and perform again. And Kevin De Bruyne, we all know his qualities. You know, the players he has in front of him to service, the ability he has on the ball to score goals himself. He's got Ukraine. I think they'll still be trying to win that game to get through. I really like him as an option, and yeah, I'd be picking him, I think, in my Limitless draft. And finally then, the front 3, and I've gone for Kane, Lukaku and Füllkrug of Germany. I don't think Kane and Lukaku need all that much explanation. Kane, yes, he was disappointing against Denmark. I don't see that continuing. He actually scored against Denmark, doesn't he? But I don't see that continuing in match day 3. I think England changed things up to a level where he's actually allowed to play as a centre forward and doesn't feel the need to drop back. Lukaku has an incredible record for Belgium. I wouldn't let that first fixture where he didn't score put me off. He's got an incredible record during qualifying. He always plays well in these big international tournaments in my mind. International football really suits him. Hasn't played yet in match day 2, but I think he's going to be a good option for match day 3. And then I went for a little bit of a rogue pick in Nicholas Füllkrug as my 3rd striker. I really like this guy. I think he's going to start. You know, he's been playing really well when he's come off the bench for Germany. I just have a feeling Havertz is going to get a bit of a rest and Füllkrug will be allowed to play as a centre forward in match day 3. And even if he doesn't, He's really impactful from the bench, and I think he's a nice differential to have in your team. He's just an excellent sort of old-fashioned striker, good all-round game, good finishing. Always puts himself in a good position to score. He's got a great touch, puts people into, gets his other teammates involved in the game as well. And look at that record for Germany, especially considering a lot of his use has been as a sub, right? 18 appearances, 12 goals is a really good record. And also, just a thought, I don't necessarily think it's 100% set in stone, but if Gundogan is rotated as well, that means Havertz and Gundogan not on the pitch. Who takes the penalties for Germany in that case? I think it could be Füllkrug. Okay, and that's the end of the video. Quick counter through there of what I think is the best Limitless draft ahead of Matchday 3. Yes, I'm conscious that not all of the players I mentioned have actually played in Matchday 2 yet. And I'll admit, Luka Modric is a bit of a rogue one. If you don't fancy Modric, there are plenty of other players you can still pick from. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like rating. You can subscribe to the Goal to Goal channel just here if you want to see more content from me. And let me know in the comments what you think of that draft. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video.